There you see it, folks, on the news here in Providence, Rhode Island. The Ferguson, Missouri riots. We even saw them spill all throughout the country, folks. Even in Providence, Rhode Island, which is where I'm located, the Joe Passarelli Show. You see the sights from Ferguson, Missouri. Riots ensuing all across the country due to the not guilty verdict that you see in Boston, people standing in the streets, protesters, all protesting because of the not guilty verdict of the police officer in Ferguson, Missouri, who gunned down the young African-American male 14 times until he was dead. Obviously, this is evoking, and you see in Providence, Rhode Island, our very own capital city in Rhode Island, look at that, folks. Thousands of people. You see stadies arresting people, jumping on people. This was the site in Providence, Rhode Island, which I gotta say, I was actually rather shocked that the riots spilled all the way up to the Northeast. I thought the Northeast would be a little bit more passive about it. But here's my controversial thoughts on the Ferguson, Missouri riots. You see Brian Crandall there in NBC 10. You see, it looks like things have died down there in Providence this morning. But certainly, you see it again, the highway shut down from this evening, 9, 10 o'clock at night on Tuesday night in Providence, Rhode Island. People on the fence. Look at that, all across the highway. Stop killing us, all of that. Certainly people had a reason to riot. Very controversial incident that happened with the young African-American male getting gunned down 14 times. However, here's my thoughts on it. If this was a young Caucasian male who was gunned down by, a Caucasian officer, would this be happening? If this was a young Asian male, this was a young Hispanic male, or female for that matter, if this was a homosexual individual, would people be reacting differently? I'm not trying to play the race card here. I just see people getting arrested in Providence. Not trying to play the race card, but it's just food for thought, folks. Would we even be hearing about this if this was a young white male who got gunned down, or a young Asian male who got gunned down? I don't know. I just feel, here's my question. What good is all this doing? All of that, besides an excuse to get on the news, an excuse to cause a riot, what good is all of this doing? You see people marching up and down the street through Providence. I know it's trying to spread awareness. See plenty of people with camera phones in their hands. I know it's trying to spread awareness on how wrong the atrocities that occurred in Ferguson, Missouri were. And look, the cop should have been found guilty. No doubt about it. He shot the young kid, whether the kid was white, black, Asian, Marvin the Martian. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't be killing young adolescents in the line of duty. Why can't you just shoot the guy in the leg? Why can't you just take his legs out if he's that much of a threat? It's my thoughts. But, like I said, folks, would we be experiencing what seems to be the equivalent of Rodney King 2.0 or 2014, if you will? Would we be experiencing this if this was a young Caucasian female, or a young Caucasian male, or a young Hispanic or Latino or Latina male or female, or a homosexual, or an Asian, or an Indian, or a Russian? Would we be experiencing this? We see the site of all the calamities last night. Traffic obviously still backed up, but looks like Providence back to normal relatively. But here's my question. I guess the question of the day: what good is all these riots doing, folks? Really, what good are people doing? What are we really accomplishing by looting, by standing in the highway, by marching through the streets? What are we accomplishing? Are the police force? Is police brutality going to change in this country? Over 20 years ago, we saw the Rodney King riots in the early 90s, and all the violence and fires, in L.A. and really across the country. But to me, a sin is not cured by more sin, and rioting and looting in the streets is not going to bring this young male back to life. It's not going to bring him back to his family. it's not going to serve the justice that you want to serve. It may raise awareness, but at the same time, I feel like people are doing it to get their face on the news. People are doing it to evoke attention. Facebook and Twitter blew up about it last night, especially locally in the Providence scene, as we're specifically talking about Providence, Rhode Island. But personally, I just feel like from Ferguson, Missouri to St. Louis to Boston to New York to LA to Providence to Chicago, these riots could be avoided, and I feel like people's energy could be channeled in a lot more positive and productive light. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I see it differently. I just don't see how looting and standing in the middle of the highway, preventing individuals from going to work or going home from work, what good is that doing, standing in the middle of Route 95 in Providence, Rhode Island? Can you tell me that? Can you articulate it for me? Can you spell it out for me? Because I certainly am having some issues understanding. I mean, I understand why people are rioting and looting, but I don't condone it. I really don't. I don't condone what this officer did. He should have been found guilty, but more wrongs don't make a wrong. And I feel like the rioting and all of this, people getting arrested, it's just more wrong. I mean, we're seeing the purge come to life here in this country, believe it or not. And personally, like I said, I understand why, but I still don't condone it. I really don't. Maybe it's my controversial thoughts, my personal rant. You don't have to agree with me. It's all good. Joe Pastorelli channel. Got a bunch of new subscribers. Want to thank everybody who subscribed. Checked out the Sting reaction video. Usually we do sports and wrestling rants and news on this channel, but today, delving into some very national news, which is really affecting everybody throughout this country with all these riots going on. And let's stop the riots, folks. Let's stop the violence, because to me, you're just showing the flaws in humanity right now. And I understand people are sick of it. People are ready to take a stand. People are ready to take action. Especially, the young kid was shot 14 times, left to die in the streets. It's very tragic. I don't condone it at all. But really, what good are you doing in Providence, Rhode Island, standing in the middle of a highway like a bunch of idiots? Please tell me that. Please enlighten me here on the Joe Pastorelli Show, because I'll be here, ready, willing, and waiting to hear your comments. And if you got any comments on this very controversial topic, please comment down below. If you're feeling the content, check out more videos on the channel, some wrestling videos, some sports videos. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you like. Also check out Haley Imes and the Wrestling Throwdown channel. Check out Chris Soriano. Check out Duo Dream 2K26. Some great channels for you to check out. A lot of them sports wrestling related. But you should check those channels out. But this is Joe Pastorelli signing off. Thankfully, no looting here in my room, here in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. But just the next city over, Providence, Rhode Island. Certainly quite the sight that was undertaken and seen live. And we just saw the Channel 10 news and highlights on it. Joe Pastorelli. Stop the violence. What does it solve? Subscribe.